Hello, my name is Heather Miller, and I am here today to speak with you about how to get started using the topic-specific Studio Starter templates in Mayor Johnson's Boardmaker Studio. Did you know that Boardmaker Studio contains 150 plus Studio Starter templates, 75 print activity templates, 300 plus device overlays, and at least 50 sample activities right out of the box? In addition, you can access thousands of ready-made activities on the Boardmaker Share, submitted by professionals who have used these materials and then decided to share them with others. Don't recreate the wheel. Attend this webinar to learn how to modify the already existing activities that are available in Boardmaker Studio. Before we begin, I want to share with you how you can get more information about Boardmaker Studio. You can visit the Mayor Johnson website at www.mayor-johnson.com/support/learn/tutorials. Or you can visit the Mayor Johnson Help and Support line at 1-800-588-4548. Finally, you can also find the Boardmaker Studio manuals and searchable help screen on the Connect screen of the program. Let's begin by opening up the Boardmaker Studio program. Your icon is going to look like this, the icon that's in the middle of my screen. When I double-click, my Boardmaker Studio will come up. This is the Connect screen. Today I'm going to give you a brief overview of the program. Then we are going to spend the majority of our time exploring what is already available to you in the templates. As I previously stated, you can access all documentation for Boardmaker Studio up in the upper right-hand corner in the Help screen. So now we've opened up Boardmaker Studio. This is the Connect screen. The Connect interface is the first screen that appears when you open Boardmaker Studio. It's a dashboard, enabling you to quickly access the most common Boardmaker Studio tasks and featured content from the boardmakershare.com website. You can quickly search for and share activities from the website, which is right down here, access the recent projects that you've worked on, or you can get started working on new activities. Let's go ahead and find our primary workspace called the Designer. So I'm going to go ahead and open up a new project. What you'll see after you click on New Project is it's going to ask you about some details. I want my project to be a blank project. It always asks you to name it. I'm just going to name it my name, Heather. Now what you're going to find frequently throughout this tutorial is that when I name a project, often it says that I already have a project with that name. That's because I've done this presentation before and I use the same name so I don't duplicate projects and take up space. So you probably, if you're going to be creating projects for the first time, will not see the error messages that I'm seeing. There we go. There it is. Do I want to replace it? Yes. Create a new page? Yes. Now what's going to happen is that Boardmaker Studio not only can be used on your computer, but it also can be used on different interactive whiteboards with different types of screens and monitors. I'm just going to be using my computer, so I'm going to go ahead and click on a standard monitor, and I'm going to create. There we go. So here is my page. Let's talk about the Designer, which is the page that we're on. Let's refer to, in the attached documents on your webinar, you will find something called Designer at a Glance. This is a document that I downloaded from the Mayor Johnson website. You can refer to this when you're looking through and learning about the Designer. So number one, we have our toolbar, which is up here. This is where it contains the File menu, the editing, the design and drawing tools. It's all up here. Over to the right, you'll find your Close and Go to Connect. So if I go ahead and click on this little blue button, I'm back to my Connect screen. That's how easy you can go and maneuver between your home screen and whatever you're working on. My recent projects, Heather, that's what I just created. I can go back there and edit some more or play my project. Let's do that again. I can go to Connect. No, I don't think I want to go to Connect. I'll go back to Heather. Next, we also have our Mode button right here. So basically, you can edit your project, which is the default in Designer. You can also play your project or play it in full screen mode so you don't see the access, you won't have the access when you're playing to these control buttons. That's beneficial. You can either play or play in full screen. Full screen is beneficial for your students who have wandering mouse who might get into your controls. So if you're playing a project with a student, you can go ahead and hide those controls. You can also preview what you've created thus far. You've over here got your navigation panel. This is where you can look further into symbols and create projects from scratch using gadgets. But as I said earlier, we're going to do a lot of exploration in our templates today. We're not going to talk a lot about the building blocks of creating projects from scratch. That would be a different webinar. This is just right out of the box. How do I use our templates? How do I use Boardmaker templates in order to supplement the activities just with what they already have here? So now let's see. We are going to go ahead and speak further about our toolbar. There should be another handout which was downloaded called Toolbar at a Glance. Up here, let's see. We've got over here on the left, we've got my file menu. Similar to previous versions of Boardmaker, as well as any kind of word processing program you might have on your computer, you'll see the new project button, the open button, print and save are also in this menu. This little button here is a new button, so you can click that just to quickly make a new project or page. Open would be to open up a saved project or page. Save is to save the page that is currently open. Save all is to save an entire project. And there are several layers of undo and redo. So if you did something that you don't like, you could actually click on that in order to get rid of whatever it is that you did. And you actually can get rid of several steps if you click on it multiple times. I actually would like to do a little definition of terms before we move on. I'm going to go to my Connect. I'm just going to open up a project. This is actually just a book. I'm going to go in edit mode. This is just a regular book that's part of the templates. We'll explore more books later. But you've probably already heard me speaking about pages and projects. Now, a page is actually an individual part, an individual page within a project. So you'll see over to the left, this is my first page when I click on it. Here's my second page of my book. Here's my third page of my book. So I could just make changes to page number 3 and then save that page. Or save all means that I'm saving the entire project. My whole project is the book going to school. So that's what a project is. It's a compilation of pages that work together. And so if you hear me talking about pages and projects, that's a little bit of background. Now let's go ahead and go back to Connect. I'm going to go back to my blank workspace so that we can use some of these drawing tools. Again, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time because most of our work is going to go ahead and be in our templates for this tutorial, but I did want to give you a little bit of background. If any of my listeners are already familiar with any previous Boardmaker programs, these pictures, these icons up here are going to look kind of familiar. I can go ahead and look here. I've got my selection tool, my arrow. I've got my spray tool, which makes more than one button. I've got my zoom tool. Let's start over here. I'm going to click on this box to make a standard button. I'm going to click on it. And you see my crosshairs. I'm going to click and drag to make a button of any size. Now I'm clicking and dragging. I have my finger on the mouse and I'm moving it around. So I've got my box. Now I've created a box, I can also spray some boxes with the spray tool. So I can click on the spray tool, click and drag. So I click on the box and then drag my mouse. There, I've made more than one button. It's very easy to make a grid. Now I'm going to go ahead and select. Let's get rid of some of this. Delete. I just right-clicked and I deleted just to start over. I can make a freeform button, a silly-looking button, just by pressing on that freeform button thing. So I've made a funny box. I've sprayed a box. Now let's go ahead. I'm going to right-click and delete these again. I want to show you just how easy one of the new features is to create symbols. So I'm going to make another grid of buttons. I'm going to click on my standard button, click and drag, and now I'm going to spray. Now, with the Boardmaker Studio, they've created a very easy way of making, oh my goodness, what did I just do? Of putting a symbol on a button. So I'm going to take my selection tool and click on a button. So just one button is highlighted. And when I click on it, I'm going to go ahead and type right in that box and then press enter. It automatically gives me the symbols that match. I don't have to go into a symbol browser if I don't want to. Now you still have the option down in the lower left to do your whole symbol browser again, but you don't have to if you want to just use the edit in place feature. So I'm going to select my symbol and say okay, and it's just that easy. Hello, how are you? And I can select it. Oh, it automatically put the only symbol that matched. If there's more than one symbol, dog, it's going to bring up a box with a bunch of them, and I could pick which dog I want. If there's only one symbol, then like I said, for how are you, it's going to automatically fill it in. It's a huge time saver. So again, that's the edit in place, and we're going to be using that a lot today. One last feature that I wanted to show you in our toolbox is the Symbolate feature. Let me go ahead and use my selection tool to get rid of some of these buttons. I'm going to click and drag across my buttons, right-click and delete these. So now, I'm not sure if any of you have ever made a book from scratch, but in the old versions of Boardmaker, you would have to put each word for your symbol-supported book in a different box. Now they have something called Symbolate, where you could free write, and Boardmaker automatically puts the symbols in your sentence for you. So next to my standard box button is a little down arrow. I'm going to click on that. And there's tons of different kinds of buttons that you can use. We've been using a standard button. I'm going to click on Symbolate button. Now I'm going to click and drag to make a nice long box. And I'm going to click in the box and start typing. I went to the zoo today. It automatically filled in my symbols. That's the Symbolate feature. Now that we've gone over a little bit about our design space, I want to get into the fun stuff. Let's work with our templates. Now a template is a page or a set of pages that have been designed for a specific type of activity. You can create new projects, activities, and pages based on the templates. We are going to explore two different types of templates, page-based templates and table-based templates. We will explore a few templates, and we're going to access them back through the Connect screen. So again, we're going to go up to our upper right-hand corner, close what we're working on, and go back to Connect. Sure, I'll save. Yes. Okay. Let me refer you to our third document that you should have been able to download from your GoToMeeting from your documents, and that is the tutorial. It's the Studio Starter Templates Overview. Now this is another document that was obtained directly through the Boardmaker Studio support, and so you can go ahead and access that on your own and find so many more tutorials that they've already created. So let's explore. I'm going to go into my Connect screen, which I've already done, and now I'm going to go New from Template over to the left. I'm going to look for, well, let's take a second here and take a look. We can look and browse through our templates by activity type or instructional area. Activity type is what we're going to be doing today, but you could also look through instructional area like reading, writing, mathematics, or you could browse all templates. I'm going to, and that's just a free list of all the templates available, but I'm going to browse by activity type. So that's the way that they're organized. As we are in our activities, you are also going to see that we either have on-screen or print activities. On-screen activities are activities that your student can use right on the computer that are actually dynamic activities. So as they're reading a book, if they select next page, it's going to automatically flip to the next page for them. Those are on-screen activities. You also have your old-fashioned print activities. In the past, we've spent hours as educators creating printable schedules and printable books, which I'm sure we'll continue to do because those are nice paper-based supports for the classroom. You can still access those. So there's a lot of templates that are meant to be printed out. We're going to look through some on-screen templates today, and we're going to start with mathematics. I'm going to go to graphs and surveys on screen. Again, these are the dynamic activities. Picture graph vertical, 4 items. I'm going to name it Our Pets Graph, and I'm going to create. Again, I've done this before, so it's asking me if I'm sure I want to replace, and I'm going to say yes. It's going to go ahead and create. It might take a second. All right, so let's see. This is actually a page-based template. Now, let's talk about how we are going to populate this template. It says right here exactly what you're supposed to do in red. So every template has the instructions directly written on in red. Right here it says enter the title of your graph below. So I'm going to title it Our Pets. Now this is an activity that's, it serves to teach your students about graphs, and you're going to ask your students what kind of pets they have at home, and we're going to go ahead and populate the graph in the classroom in order to reinforce the concepts of graphs and associated with the number of kids in the class that have a specific pet. So I'm going to use edit in place again. Place symbols and labels for each column in the buttons below. Blank columns will automatically be hidden. So I'm going to click on my button, and I'm going to go ahead and use my edit in place to do dog. Again, there's more than one dog, so I say okay. Cat. Okay. Bird. Oops, didn't hear my D. Okay. And then let's do fish. There we go. All right, so let's see what happens when we play our project. And I'll go ahead and press play. Sorry, there is a bit of a delay. Okay. All right, kids, how many of you have a dog as a pet?
1 dog, 2 dogs, 3 dogs.
3 of you have a dog as a pet. How about a cat?
1 cat.
Only 1 cat. Does anybody have a bird? No, no birds in the class today. How about a fish?
1 fish, 2 fish, 3 fish, 4 fish.
So this is exactly what our activity does. You can go ahead and print the activity. You could start over. There is a bit of a delay here. I apologize. Or you can go ahead and stop the activity. Okay, I'm going to stop the activity. I am sure I want to exit. Most of our templates will have something called a project setup. That's something that we always want to look into because that's where we could fine-tune the way we want our project to be played. I'll go into my menu, and I'm going to click on Project Setup. Now here's all of the different things I can do with my project. Do I want it to speak the count? So if you noticed, I have it on yes. Every time I clicked a dog, it said 1 dog, 2 dog, 3 dog. We could turn that off. Do we want the kids or us to click directly on the graph, yes or no, and then do I want some feedback text? So we could actually have it speak anything that we want it to speak as feedback. Now let's close. Okay, so that was a page-based template. We can move on and go into our table-based template. I'm going to go back to my Connect screen. And I'm going to go into New from Template, into Word Study. On screen again, and then Word Scramble. I'm going to name it the Water Animals, Word Scramble, and I'm going to create. Here it comes. Now our project setup menu automatically popped up because this is a table-based template. In order for us to use this template, we need to specify the details on this table. Now, what this activity does is that it is a word scramble. Before we move on, I actually want to go back, go to Connect, and show everybody something. Because, let's see, I'm going to go back to Word Study again, on screen. Now, going in, when I was looking at Word Scramble, I really didn't know what I was getting into. Another option is for you to go ahead and look at the sample activity. So I'm going to go into my sample activity instead, and I'm going to create. Okay. Now, if I go ahead and try it, this is a sample. They've already created it for us. And so if you ever wanted to look at a template for your own use, and you're not exactly sure what it does, look for the green S. It's going to have the same title as the template, but it's going to have an S next to it, so it's called a sample. So you can go ahead and take a look. So we're going to make something like this. G-L-B-O-E. Check answer.
Not quite. You spelled G-L-B-O-E. Try to spell glow.
Okay, so you see, so this is exactly what your project's going to look like. Let's stop it. We're going to stop. We're going to close. So I'm going to go back to my Connect. Let's create our own water animals word scramble like we were going to be doing. Okay, so I'm going to find my list. I'm going to do water animals. I'm going to do fish, crab, seahorse. I will do octopus. Okay, and now I've done my word. Now I need to do the picture that goes along with it. So I could either go through my categories of symbols like you'll see in your symbol browser, or I'll just go ahead and do a search for fish and say, okay, now I've got my symbol for fish. Let's click on the box right next to crab and under symbol. Okay, right next to seahorse and under picture, seahorse. And say okay, and now one more. Right next to octopus and under picture, we're going to look for a picture for octopus. We'll say okay. Oops. Octopus. Okay. All right. Okay. So now I'm going to save my word list. Now let's try it. Save changes? Yes.
Spell the word octopus.
Now I can click on my letters.
C-T-O-P-U-S.
Check answer.
You spelled the word octopus.
Now it goes right to the next one.
Spell the word crab.
Okay. As I spoke to you about before, we always want to look at our project setups. There's a lot of different ways that we could do this. We could use quiz mode. Now what quiz mode is that it's not going to give the student feedback. So as they're spelling, it's just going to go ahead and take data. That's the key point. It actually keeps your data for you if you're in quiz mode. Do we want it to be in random order, or do we want the words to be going in the same order every time? Do we want to shuffle the letters? Yes. Or you can have the letters already in the right order where they just need to click on them in order. Do we want to show the words? Let's say yes. So now instead, the student's going to have the word there so that they can match. Do we want it to automatically read? Yes or no? Do we want it to speak every letter or not speak every letter as they select it? Do we want to show the stop button? Some of our more impulsive students might just automatically want to get right. Well, any student might want to get out of there if it's getting too frustrating. So you can choose to show or stop the show or not show the stop button. There's also the option for reward sounds and reward videos. So it's actually something that will be played when the activity is complete. It will not play in quiz mode though. So let's go ahead and not do the reward video yet because I want to show you what happens since we're in quiz mode now. So I'm going to show you, save and close. I want to play. Okay. We only have 4 words, so
Fish.
F-I-S-H.
H.
Okay, next word. It's going to take a second. I want to go through all 4.
Octopus. O-C-T-O-P-U-S.
Almost done.
Spell the word seahorse. S-A-E-H-O-S-R-E.
Okay, and our last one is crab.
Spell the word crab. C-R-A-B.
Okay, so let's see what happens.
Let's see how you did.
So it took data for me.
You got 3 out of 4 right.
We can go to our teacher report, which shows exactly what happened, and then you can add your student names and print this right off so that you'll be able to use it or put it into your plan book for that student, your portfolio for that student. Okay, so one more thing I wanted to show you on this project. I'm going to go into the project setup. I'm going to take it out of quiz mode. I want to show you what happens with a reward video, but first I'm going to be smart. I'm going to get rid of some of these because I do not want to, I want to clear because I don't want to have to go through all of them again. So we'll just have 2 of them now. We are going to do a reward video. So after we do those 2 words, we're going to get a reward video. So I'm going to click on the box next to reward video, and I'm going to go ahead and find my reward videos. Let me see if I could remember where I go for this. My documents, Boardmaker Studio, I think. Media. Boardmaker Studio, media, and then videos, reward animations. I'm going to do Bubble Pop just because it's the first one open. So I have designated my video for my reward video, and I'm going to save and close, and I'm going to try it.
Spell the word fish.
Now remember, it's in practice mode. This is the only way that a reward video is going to work.
You spelled the word fish. Spell the word crab.
So after I do all of my items,
B. You spelled the word crab. You finished all the words.
there's my reward video. Isn't it
How
exciting?
do you feel you did?
Okay, and then there's a little self-evaluation. So that was our table-based template. So we're going to take some time to explore our templates. Again, we have on-screen and print templates. If I go over to Connect, just like before, I have my communication device overlays. So for any of our kiddos who use, your Tech Talk, Tech Speak, Go Talk 20+, you can still access the overlays and print them out right from your templates. This is where they are. Let's look at some visual schedules and sequences. I'm going to go back to my Connect screen. I'm going to find a couple of them. We're going to do a lot of the samples so you could just see kind of what's already there. I wanted to give you some exposure to a bunch of different templates so you know and know that there are hundreds more that are available, but I just wanted to give you a little sampling of what you can get straight out of the box. So I'm going to go New from Templates, and I'm going to Schedule and Time. I'm sorry, Visual Schedules and Sequences. I'm going to do an on-screen one. Okay. I'm going to go to the fill in 5 steps vertical. There's already a sample. I'm just going to go ahead and show you what's there. So basically the way that you would do this is that you'd use edit in place to list the student's activities if they're different from this student's. You're going to place the symbols right on into the box when you're in play mode. You can click on the boxes, or the boxes will check off as you go. So let's go ahead and play. So this,
Art.
I'm going to click and drag. First my student has art, then science. This, you might have a student that likes to create their own schedule at the beginning of the day, so he is able to have some autonomy and select the order of activities or just be a part of creating the schedule for the day. We have this playing so that once we're done, we click on it and it fades out. I want to look at my project setup over to the left. Okay, so feedback type. Right now, basically, what feedback type means is what happens to these boxes once we select the checkbox. Right now, it kind of shades out. Some students prefer to have it completely going away, so we could hide it or cover it. So I'm going to hide it. Save and close. Science, lunch. Okay, so, oh, I hid it completely. That is completely gone. That could be so much more organizing for a student to not see it anymore after they've done it. Another way that you could do this with a schedule, instead of hide, you could just cover it when you click on it. Science, lunch, English. Okay, so now when I click on it, oh, now it's still there, but it's been covered because we're finished with it. So there's a lot of different ways that you can modify this schedule. You can actually, if you notice, there's beeps when you click. There's beeps and bloops is what they've had their sounds as. So you can change those. You can get rid of the sounds entirely if you have a student who has some aversion to those beeps and bloops. So that's that specific schedule. There's a lot of different options for schedules. Let's look at a couple more. I'm going to go into my templates. I'm going to go into my schedules again, visual schedules and sequences. I'm going to go to a horizontal one this time. I want to do a finished box this time. I'm going to name it because it won't let you go any further unless you name it. Create. Okay, so now I'm going to use edit in place to follow the red directions on the screen. So type in a title below, Heather's schedule. Now I'm going to use edit in place to click and type Gym, reading, math, lunch, bus. Okay, so now it's set. I can go into my project setup and see what's going on here. Do I want to hide the items when I'm done with them? So that means that once I click it into the box, is it going to go away or is it going to stay there? And do I want any finished sounds? Let's try it. So after I'm done with Gym, I put it in the box. Right now I said I want it to hide, so look what happens. It hides it. When I'm done with reading, it hides reading. So this is just another schedule in a different format. It's horizontal instead of vertical. It goes away. There's no checkboxes. You actually click and drag it somewhere when you're done with the item. Okay, let's try another one. Going back to Connect, going to my templates again, my schedules, vertical, on screen. I'm going to go to 5 steps vertical, sequenced and numbered. I'm going to go to the sample again though, just so that we already see what it looks like after it's populated. 5-step vertical. Okay, so now let's see what happens when we play this one. Okay, so again, very similar to our other one. You could change the project setups again, so you can get rid of those bleeps and bloops. You can this one automatically reads the next item. Do we want it to be a fixed order or a random order? So let's say we have 5 activities and we don't want the student to choose what activity is in what order, so it will randomly put that up there. So there's a couple of different options with this one, even though it looks similar to the other one that we used. Let's say we have a student who's working on sequencing. There's some nice sequencing options in here too. I'm going to look for sequencing horizontal 4 items. I'm going to do the sample again. Horizontal 4 items. I'm going to name it sequence 4. Okay, so this again is the sample. It's already been populated for us. Although it still left those instructions up there, we could always write over it and change it. And that's what I often do. I often use the samples so I know how they're supposed to look, and then I'll go ahead and modify it according to what my lesson has. So I'm going to go ahead and play. Place the stages of the life cycle of the butterfly.
Stages of the life cycle of the butterfly in the correct order below.
So I just clicked on the text.
That's right. Egg is the first stage.
Okay, so you get the picture. What happens if I do the wrong one next?
No, butterfly is the 4th stage.
So there's feedback. So if I go into my project setup, you can set that. Right now it's not in quiz mode. They're only allowed 2 errors before they tell you what the right answer is. We have auditory feedback. Now this is for in the quiz mode. You know how they actually can give a visual feedback. You can change what the feedback symbol is. You can also add a reward video and reward sound if you'd like. So a lot of options for the sequencing activities as well. Now I know that writing is something that can be very helpful when done in a dynamic format. And so we're going to go over some writing activities, both errorless and word bank activities, as well as some creative activities like a greeting card. We're also going to go over some sentence and word building activities to reinforce literacy in your classrooms. So let's take a look at some of these templates. I'm going to stop and I'm going to go into my Connect. Going into my templates. And I'm going to go into writing on screen. And I'm going to try and find my choice writing, my choice categories. Choice writing with categories. I'm going to use my sample again, just so you see how it's supposed to look at the end. 5 categories and create. Okay, so this is an errorless writing activity. You can modify it to say whatever you'd like, but this is just a book report activity, so I'm going to play and show you what it looks like.
My opinion. This book was interesting and exciting.
So it's making a book report. It's writing it right in the window. You have some different options.
The best part was the action.
In our toolbar up here, you can go ahead and read everything for the student. You could read just the previous sentence. You could hide the symbols, show the symbols. Symbol review means that if the student is reading on his own, and he gets to a word that he doesn't know, you can go ahead and click on it. And it gives the symbol review. Okay, I don't know why it's not working. Okay, never mind. In theory, that's what symbol review is. You could save it. You could also have the student print it all on his own after he's complete. So that's an errorless writing activity. You can pick any page and change it according to your needs. Let's try one more errorless writing. I'm going to go into my templates and into writing again. And do easy writing. Let's see. I'm going to go into my sample. Okay. And I'm going to play. Let's see what happens.
The dog barked. It woke Dad up. Dad was mad.
Just a different format for also doing some creative writing. A less supportive way to allow a student to create some written work would be using word banks. I'm going to go to Connect. They have some nice word banks already created, some nice word bank formats already created. I'm going to use another sample activity called, I'm going to go and look at the Valentine's, let's see. So word bank, let me see, right there. Okay, and I'm going to take a look at my word bank here. This is a Valentine's Day writing activity. If I go ahead and play.
Valentine Day is fun.
You have a prediction window right here. You can use anything on your standard toolbar that your student can use. So this is a less supportive way of writing, but still supported enough where you've already chosen the words and the student just selects them to create sentences. Now this is really easy to make. I'm going to go back to Connect and I'm going to open a blank template, the same one that we were just using but blank, and show you how quick it is to create something. I'm going to be creating something about going to the zoo. I like the zoo. So word bank sample 12 was what we were just using. I'm going to go with the blank one. See the S? That's the sample one. We were just using that. I'm going to name it zoo, and I'm going to create. Okay, now let's see. Using edit in place, I go zoo, see animals. I see bear, tiger, giraffe. Okay, it was, oops, not wash. Oops, escape. It was, okay, we're just going to leave that one. You could go through the symbol and change that, but we didn't go over that today, so I'm going to just leave it as washing machine. It was fun, bad. So now it's ready to use. That's how quick it was.
I go tiger.
Oops, I go tiger. That's not what I wanted to do. I'm going to go back. I go zoo. I see tiger. It was fun. All right, so there we go. So it's already finished. That's how fast it was to make a writing activity using the templates. Let's talk a little bit about using the sentence builder. So if I go into my activities, or I'm sorry, into my templates, I'm going to go into writing again. Let's see if let's try sentence builder. Sentence scramble, I'm sorry. So I'm going to go into my sentence scramble. Let's take a look and see how it's supposed to look. Sentence scramble sample. Okay. Okay. Now let's close. Let's try it and see what it's supposed to look like. Sentence scramble. This is what I want it to look like.
Listen to this sentence. My friend is here. Now use the words below to write the sentence. My friend is here. My friend is here.
Isn't that a great activity?
That's right.
So let's go into my project setup and see what our options are.
She sleeps over.
So sentence list. I go ahead and create my sentence list the exact same way that we created for our sea animal scramble. So my friend lives there. Okay, so then you go ahead and go into the pictures and do a symbol associated with it. Save. You can do quiz mode or not quiz mode. Again, quiz mode will take data for you. You can show a look button. Remember it said to look at the button. Use sentences in a random order. Right now I said no, but sure, Why not? I want to randomize my sentences. The person who used this before me said, no, I want it always to be in the same order. So yes. Yeah, so there's also, you want to read each word, yes or no? Do you want to automatically read the sentence? So that's a really neat activity that's very easy to make again. Close. All right. There's also a word scramble and in there too. So now we've gone over a variety of templates. There are so many more. I wanted to give you just a chance to check out the Boardmaker Share. So Boardmaker Share is a place that is a repository for a ton of Boardmaker activities that were already created by educators just like you and people who just wanted to share their work. Before recreating the wheel, I always check Boardmaker Share to see what kinds of activities are already there. In order to use Boardmaker Share, you're going to need to create a username and a password, and then you'll need to log in. I'm going to go ahead and find activities. It'll automatically launch from the dashboard from Connect. I'm going to look for core words. Let's see, core vocabulary. I've got 13 matches. Now I can go ahead and scroll through. Here's one that's on the Go Talk. If you look over to the right, it actually shows what formats this can be used with. S is for Boardmaker Studio. If you have something that only works with Boardmaker Studio, when Boardmaker Studio was created, the files are a completely different file format from previous versions. Now, if you make something in Studio, you can't open it in Boardmaker Plus. But if you made something in Boardmaker Plus or in Print Editor, you can load those into Boardmaker Studio. So it works only in that direction. Boardmaker Studio will open everything older, but all the older ones will not be able to open Boardmaker Studio. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Go Talk, and I would like to download it. Download the activity. It asks me where I want to download it. I'm going to save it. I'm just going to save it to my desktop. Save. Now let's take a look. It's saved to my desktop, but if you're familiar with Boardmaker Plus, you'll notice that that's a Boardmaker Plus format, not a Boardmaker Studio format. So let me just take a second and show you how to import older boards into your Boardmaker Studio once you've downloaded them from Connect, or if you just already have a whole bunch of stuff that you've created in Boardmaker Plus and you're trying to make the transition to Studio. It's very quick. I'm going to go to a new project, a blank project. I'm going to name it and create. It's going to ask me what size monitor. I just want it to be standard right now. I'm going to go over to all the way to the left to New, and I'm going to do a new project from Boardmaker Import. I'm sorry. Let's do that again because I said the wrong words. We're going to do a new project from Boardmaker Import. I'm going to find my document, which I saved to my desktop, click on it, and then say Open. It's going to ask you a bunch of specifics. The defaults are typically good to go, unless if you say import and you look at it and you don't think it's right. That's the only time that I ever go back and look at those settings, but I just usually go with the defaults. That's how easy it is. Now it's already converted your template, it already has converted your board into the BPF format instead of the old Boardmaker Plus. Now it's already ready into your, Boardmaker Studio format. Okay, one other thing I wanted to tell you about on Boardmaker Share. You can join different user groups. For example, let's say that your classroom is using the unique learning systems. You can go ahead and look for a community. You can look for a user group on unique learning systems, which I happen to know they have one. You might be using, I don't know, any kind of curriculum that you would like to supplement. Go ahead and check and see if there is a user group, because other people may have already created things that are associated with the units that you're already doing. You won't have to recreate the wheel again. So now, This concludes my presentation on a brief overview of Boardmaker Studio and how to use the templates to supplement your curriculum. For more information, please go ahead and visit the Mayor Johnson website. You can go directly to the tutorials. You could also go to you could call the 1-800 number for support, or use the searchable help and documentation. Also, feel free to contact me at hmiller@ucpnet.org. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you've enjoyed this presentation. Please feel free to contact me with any further questions.